slideshow. We're going to go through the slideshow. It's different. It's seasonal because there's a whole bunch of things that are cyclical on a ranch, and we kind of wanted to be able to spend and show you different parts of the ranch throughout the whole year. And then we have. Wait, you should introduce yourself. I will. It's next. It's the next slide. All right. So I'm Krista Monger, and I was born and raised here. This is my mom, Mary Kay Monger. We ranch on the Elk River Valley, the lower Elk River Valley, and have been for several generations. This is Adonna Allen of the Dockenbaugh family, of the Gray family, and they have been in the lower Elk River Valley for multiple generations as well. We all raise commercial cow-calf operation with beef. Commercial means it's not registered. So as opposed to like when you go get a registered dog versus you just go to the pound and get a dog. We still have quality, but we don't go through all the paperwork of doing it. Cow-calf means that we keep the cows throughout the whole year. Our yearly crop, so to speak, is our calves. And that's what we produce each year. All right, so here we are. We're going to start in winter.
Oh.
And so this is me leaning out of the Ford, the big John Deere tractor with the bale feeder behind me and feeding cows. And this winter was difficult. We had a lot of snow. We fed them in one area up the road from us because that's where we had stacked all of our hay. And then when all that hay ran out, we put them down the road to the next hay field. And this is us with our dog, a red heeler, helping us bring the cows down to the next hay field. This is the bale feeder, and it's kind of dark, but you can I kind of want to show you what it looks like. This winter especially, this is a huge, big four-wheel drive tractor, and the snow came up to those big tires in the back, came to up to past the middle of it. Wow. This right here holds the bale. Here's the bale feeder. It twirls it, grinds it up, and shoots it out this side chute. So they're getting ground hay.
There are only two families still in Routt County that feed with a horse and sleigh, and that's Spike Myring and Libby and Matt Belton. Wait. Libby and Spike are married, and there's Matt and Christy. They're sisters, brother and sister, so that's why I got confused. But most everyone now is converted to a four-wheel drive tractor because it's a little bit stronger and more powerful, and that the feeding has gone to a different method. Most of them are done with these hay busters now.
Also, because since I'm the oldest here, when I first came here, we did feed with a team of horses and a sled, and with the little bales, so that you had to, me included, had to stack all those bales multiple times to go out, come back, and it would take us 5 to 6 hours a day to feed with the horses. So when people would ask me why I don't ski, I had enough time outside. I certainly wasn't going to go play in it. So it's really changed. And then we went from a tractor to a wagon, and then we finally got us a four-wheel drive tractor and a wagon, but you still had to feed it by hand. So this, not only the technology and everything has changed, it only takes one person to go out and feed now, and in less than half the time.
Yeah, probably about an hour or hour and a half. And another thing too about the team of horses that pulls the hay. I don't know if you caught, but Mom said you had to go multiple times because you can't put all the hay on at once and go feed it. And then also they have to break trail. So they have to go out, break a trail with a wagon that has nothing on it. And they don't do that every day, but after every big snow, they have to do it. And then they have to come back in, load it up, then feed it, go get the next hit, load up. And it's a hard process, very labor intensive. Probably cheaper because these, the machinery is very expensive, but it's a trade-off.
Plus, Matt and Christy will say, our horses start every day. We don't have to worry about them getting too cold or freezing. So we have to plug in our tractor every day. So we see our electric bill go up by about $1 a day during the winter.
Yeah. So it's really, I miss the nice blue days when it's warm, but don't miss those cold days. Because you get cold.
And I have great memories as a kid, and I'm sure Donna does too. We didn't have to feed when we were little because we weren't strong enough, but we had to go out. And so we would find things to do, and a lot of the times it was being pulled behind the hay wagon with the sled behind it. You had to maneuver around the craters of frozen cow poop, but
we're pushing each other off and then seeing if we can catch back up to the wagon.
Yeah, pushing them off and then hurry because the parents weren't going to stop for you. They were busy feeding hay. So this winter in our meadow, and I know you can't see it, but there is a fence right here, and we had a 3-wire winter, if not like a 4-wire winter this year. We had trouble this winter feeding because we just had so much hay in a row, so much snow in a row. The depth just got so high. Normally it melts a little bit. You still get the mass amount of inches per year, but it would settle a little bit and then we could go again. It didn't happen this year. Again, you can see the cows are like, the hay, this is fresh snow, and it's about up to their chest. And they're not going to venture out into the fresh snow as well. And so this is what happened this year. I got stuck 2 days in a row. And so I cussed out my dad because he had just taken the snow chains off, and I was like, why? Keep those snow chains on, and he's like, it's good now. And this happened. And then it happened again the next day, and then finally demanded that we put on those snow chains, and so we did.
How did you get out?
We had to get another tractor. Yeah. The other tractor.
It's like a half a day.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's a long
yes,
process.
it was a long process. Yeah. That's me again. So then we had an interesting. This is something that happens in our area is we have coyotes, and we had a cow die. We had actually 2 cows die. If cows, any ruminant animal gets on their back for a long period of time, and when long is only like an hour or 2, they die. It has to do with the pressure on their abdomen and their lungs, and they die. And so we had such big snow that they had formed bowls. They lay in it one night and they melted or kind of around it, and that's fine, they can get out. But then the next day or 2, if they lay down and they fall just right and go into one that's already there. And so we lost 2 cows this winter, and then it was coyote bait. We were just getting ready to start calving, and we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 coyotes in this pasture. Our neighbors lost a calf as it was being born. Came and took out the calf and ruined the calf and the cow. And so we kind of got on coyote patrol, and this is my husband on top of our haystack, because there was one, they were so blatant, it was daytime, and they were trying to go out to where the cow had died. We had already moved it, but it had tried to go back and see if there was any remnants. And miraculously, he actually shot it as it was running. It was
Now he's in front.
we were like, wow.
So they were calves were being born in the snow then?
Yeah.
Which is common every year?
Yes.
We start calving about the 3rd week in March.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's good, sometimes
We
it's
still have snow. I mean, think about when the ski season ends. And also what happens in winter is we have visitors.
Oh, I see.
There's an elk in the middle here. There's several slides.
Oh, yeah.
I used to look at yours.
they're big.
They don't want to have to fend for food if they don't have to, and they come and eat our cattle hay. contrary to popular belief, we do not get funded. The Division of Wildlife does not reimburse ranchers for hay. They will give you fencing apparatus to put around existing hay stacks, elk panels, or they will give you fencing material in the summer to build a big fence around your hay, but they will not reimburse you. They do have things called damage tags, which if someone doesn't get if they're hunting and they weren't able to get an elk during the hunting season, they can call the Division of Wildlife and say, I didn't get one, can I have a damage tag? And then they wait for a rancher to say, okay, now I have elk. And someone can come out and try to shoot. Although, there's lots of other stuff there that we don't want them to shoot, so it doesn't always work the way that they
go ahead. These elk, they lived over in the river, and as soon as that tractor would start and go through our driveway out to the meadow, they'd come out. Yeah, they knew. They knew.
And they initially gave us they weren't rubber bullets, what were they? They were loud bullets, blanks, to shoot, and that would sort of work, and it didn't work very well, so then we called and said, okay, we'll bring out a damage tag guy, and they had guys lined up, and the next morning, they didn't show up. They were gone. Didn't show up for, that's okay for us because they're gone, however they're gone, but
they just go to the next.
Yeah, the guy that wanted the elk meat was kind of bummed.
One of the other things about elk is that they will eat hay when they're hungry. It's not their primary source of food during the winter, but when they're hungry, they'll eat it. But they are really damaging to stacks. If they get into a haystack, as compared to a cow will just sit there and eat from it, a deer or elk will pull it apart and then step on it and pee, and so that's where a lot of the damage comes from if they get into the haystack.
Yeah, they look for the very best, and they'll just pull out until they find a spot they like, and then they'll eat. Yeah.
And then calving starts. And this is one of the Allen's cow-calf pairs. And as you can see, there's still snow. This is Levi and Leah Allen, Adonna's kids, and they have a little baby calf there. We do not bring them in. In the East and Midwest, they calve and they put them in calving barns, but they have really bad wind chill. We don't have that. We are kind of blessed with that. We have tons of snow, but if you think about the cold, biting temperatures, freezing temperatures, we don't have that. So we do not bring calves in when they get born. They're born in the snow, on the snow, on maybe a little bit of hay area there. They toughen up pretty fast. We do feed cows on really cold days. Cows get more hay. It takes more energy to stay warm, so they get more hay. And then that's just, the calves get a good winter coat on it, and they work.
I don't know anything about this, so maybe it's a silly question, but
How
many calves can a cow have?
They usually have one. They can have twins.
It's a 9-month gestation.
It's the same exact gestation as a woman. And then as a span of years, they can potentially go 10, 12, 15 years of having a calf each year. They don't necessarily, but most of the time they do if they have good feed. If they get, just like a marathoner, if they are continually running or they don't have enough body fat, they won't conceive. The same can go with cattle. So they need to have a good body condition in order to get pregnant.
Right. Also, when the calves are born, what really helps them the most is they're up within 10 minutes of time, and the cow licks them completely dry. And so that helps immensely.
Sometimes this varies from ranch to ranch because some people do not check their animals at night when they're calving, and cows are really good. They're very hardy. They can oftentimes do it completely by themselves. However, we check our cows at night, but it's not so much because we don't trust the animals to do well. It's because of the coyotes. And if something does happen in the middle of the night or the coyotes are out there, they will grab a calf as they're having birth.
These are my two kids, Lloyd and Olivia Warren, and we have a bottle calf here. This is an old picture, but we did have 2 bottle calves this year. Weird things happen. Sometimes the cow abandons it, and we had that happen this year. A cow just abandoned it. And the way we figured it out is we kept seeing the same calf stealing milk off of other cows. And usually cows don't allow that, but if the cow is letting her own calf suck in the normal position and the stealer comes up behind the back 2 legs, and we kept seeing that. So we found the cow that belonged to that calf, brought him in. She didn't want to have anything to do with it, and so that one became a bottle calf. We also had another one that every time the mom would lose it, and she'd be around trying to find it, and it would be like weird places, like on the other side of the fence or in the corner, and pretty soon we figured out it was blind. So we had a blind calf, and it just wasn't going to work out. The mom would leave thinking the calf was going to go with it, and it couldn't. And so we brought that one in. So we did have 2 bottle calves. We actually still have them, but we weaned them last week. And miraculously, the blind one ended up gaining its sight back, which was nice.
We have no idea why it was like that.
That's a good study.
And so this is Leah Allen, Donna's daughter, and they had a calf. Oh, go ahead and explain what happened.
This calf had some kind of form of hip dysplasia, which meant that it could not walk properly, that it couldn't support itself. And you got to catch these things pretty quickly, because if they don't get their colostrum, then they go downhill pretty quickly. And then they don't get enough substance to gain their strength to be able to feed off their mother. Also, you got to catch it quickly, because if they're not feeding off their mother, the mother's bag will dry up, and so then you don't want to be bottle feeding if you don't have to. So we had to bring this calf inside for 2 nights. In the meantime, we were giving it intravenous drugs and making sure that it was warm and that it was eating out of a bottle. But we also had to bring the cow in, and not we, my husband, brought the cow in and had to milk the cow down so that she didn't lose her milk and that it stayed in circulation. So it's not uncommon. It's not common, but it's not uncommon to bring a calf in and put it on the porch. And Mary Kay is famous for this.
Yeah, because I used to come in my kitchen just because I have a heater under my sink that blows, so it's a perfect place to warm them up. And you just open the doors like this and make a tent.
And they're not walking anyway, so you don't have to worry about them getting up and wandering around and pooping, because they're out.
When they try to get up, that's when they go back out.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, the only reason we might bring it, not the only, but the main reason we bring them in is for some reason it did not get licked off.
They're cold.
The cow got distracted, it was a twin, it didn't get the attention it needed, it didn't get licked off clean, and so it got really cold, body temperature is low, and so we bring it in to try to get its body temperature back up.
One thing you will notice, at least on our ranches, and partly because of the size, we've got Troy's brother-in-law has a huge operation, almost 1,000 pairs up in Wyoming, so it's much different there than here. But we do not keep any cow or calf pairs, any cows on a place that are dangerous, because our kids are little and we want them to be excited to be around cows. So if a cow is mean or will take a child or have tendencies to be feisty, she gets shipped, and she'll go to a ranch that's much bigger where they just let them out and they see them once a year.
And some people, some ranchers really don't care. They don't care if it's they have mean cows, and maybe they don't have children around, but yeah, we're all
Children, it's us too.
Yeah. This was what Adonna was speaking about. This is my husband Justin, but that's a bottle right there. We're trying to feed put milk in the bottle so that we can go give it to the calf that might be sick wherever, in the house or in the barn, because mother's milk is best. This is a set of twins. That one is pretty new. It's still kind of wet.
So do you want to talk about twins that are maybe fertile or infertile?
Yeah. And actually this was one of them.
Yeah.
So we had this was a twin set that was a male and female. And when you have a male and female pair, the female sometimes can, I don't know genetically how it happens, can get some of the DNA where it doesn't it's not fertile. It cannot produce another offspring. And so free mace, what's it called? Free mace, I can't remember the term they give this calf.
Yeah.
But this female, we mark it. We put an F on the tag, so we know that it was a twin with a boy twin, and we don't want to keep it in our herd because it probably won't get pregnant. And so she would be just like a male, and she would be fed out to become beef. Now, if they're both female, you're fine. They're both be fertile, although they might be small in stature, but sometimes they can grow out of that. Depends on the cow.
And every now and then with twins, if the mama can't feed both of them because she's not enough, then one of them either has to go to a mom that lost her calf if she'll take them, which is difficult, or you'll have to bottle feed one of them, and that's one or two.
All right, so here's where the doctoring starts. And this is my dad, Mary Monger. And we do most of our doctoring within a day. Main reason is because they're catchable. And we do not rope for a couple reasons. First of all, no one in our family can rope. And the second reason is that we like to kind of keep our cows and calves calm. And so whenever you get a four-wheeler out there or a horse or anything, they think, oh, we're going somewhere. Let's head out to the other opposite corner. And so if you can kind of just sneak around and then grab them when they're young. And then we do our doctoring. And there's a couple things we do. And the first thing we do is a shot. We give them a vaccine shot and a multi-min shot. Multi-min is like vitamins. But the main thing is vaccines for multiple diseases. We give them an ear tag. That's the button.
It's in between your feet.
We do an ear tag, and we have these can get written on with a Dremel, and
They're layered.
it's like all blue, and then you write on it, and it pulls off the blue part, and you have the black that's underneath it. And we number ours according to, if it's a female, it gets 3 numbers, and the first number is the year it was born. So this is an old tag from a 2009 cow, and then the 45th one born.
Oh. So 3 numbers is for a female.
Female, and two just for males because we're not keeping them. They'll go off on the truck to be hamburger or steak or whatever. And so those just get 2 numbers. And then also what we have been doing lately, this one doesn't show it, but we have been the last 3 years starting to put the mother's tag number here. It's been really nice because this thing isn't always around. This is our calf book that has, when she had it,
What was around?
It was a steer, a heifer, and then the cow's number and everything. But when you're in the field, like that abandoned calf we had, and rather than go get the book, find the number, we can just look at the tag and say, oh, its mom is 345. Let's find that cow, and it's a lot simpler.
But we try to carry this book anytime we're out there, but that doesn't happen.
It does not happen. We even have multiple copies, and they still. And then this is the tagger. It goes in the ear tag, and it's just like getting an earring.
We'll toss those around. Everyone does these differently. Like we do yellow for heifers and red for little steer calves, so we know by the color what it is. And then one of our neighbors told me that they do a right for heifers and a left for steers, which I would think that would get really confusing. But yeah, everyone kind of just has their own method about what works best.
What's the definition of a heifer?
Oh, sorry. A heifer is a female that has not given birth. And then
once it gives birth, it's a cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never did that.
And so like the terminology you would use with a female going along the process is a heifer calf, a heifer yearling, which just means that she's a year old, and then a bred heifer, which means obviously that she's pregnant, but she hasn't given birth to a cow yet, and then she becomes a cow, and then she becomes like a 2-year cow, 3-year-old cow, and then just older, and then really old.
Now, kind of like infant baby, teenager.
And so the males along the way, the males start off as bulls, full calf, and then and this is the next tool. This is the emasculator. and it is the process of neutering, castrating a calf. And so the couple reasons behind it is that bulls tend to fight and be feisty, and then testosterone, and that can be bad for a lot of different reasons. Safety issues, and then you want them to. The purpose of beef is to get them fattened up so that they can have a good quality meat product. We don't want them running around and or fighting each other. So the process is I don't know how graphic you want me to get, but so my dad will get them, and my dad does this all while the cow is like bawling, and if you can see. This cow is pissed off.
Yeah.
She is bellowing at him.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? And it can get kind of nasty. And my husband has nerves of steel because I am over in the background going, get away, she's gonna get you. But it's just a small process of opening up the skin, pulling out the two nuts, and then this is called an emasculator, and it does have
Crimps.
It has crimps and it has a blade, and so you have to make sure you get it on the correct side. But the crimp is next to the body, and then the blade is on the other side. And so it's a clean process. You hold it so the crimp can do its job to keep it from bleeding out, and then they're done and they're ready to go. There is another
And do
method.
you do that when they're born?
Yeah.
Or do you wait?
We do it like a day or two after they're born.
We do it
Some
when we
people
say.
do it during branding. Do you guys do it during branding? We have lots of help, lots of people, and we do about 250 a day in that one day, and it just seems like an extra step that we don't want to have to take care of. And then plus, right away the next day they go up to pasture, so if something happens wrong with that, we'd like to have them still on the ranch so that we can doctor them if necessary. So we do it at different timing. Plus branding is stressful too. So these are two stressful events for a calf, and we wanted to separate them out just to get their health back up.
And we don't use a crimper, or we use a band, which means that you put it's a machine, a little tool that stretches out a rubber band like this, and then you pull down the testicles and slip the rubber band over it, and so it takes the blood flow out of them, and then they drop off.
And that is the main method for sheep too, I think.
Yes.
What's the plus and minuses of the two methods?
I think
Well, the plus of the band is that there is less chance of infection. The plus side of the emasculators is it's done.
You know it
And you know it
And
happened.
you know, it
It's
works.
done.
Yeah.
They can, they're going to be uncomfortable for like a couple hours, but with the band, they're uncomfortable for like a couple days. So it's hit or miss, get it done, and like I said, we want to know if they're going to have infections, so we like to keep them there just in case something happens. So those are the pros and cons of each.
Yeah, it's a personal preference.
You see, I think they run all the way up here.
This is Dr. Louise Batt, another woman in agriculture. And she is a traveling veterinarian, and this was a calf that was near death row. Usually we try to do stuff ourselves before we bring out a vet. This one required her attention. She's in the process of giving it an IV fluids, and of course both two kids want to be right on top of it, like what's going on. And unfortunately this one, it didn't make it.
How much is each calf worth, Krista? Do you think?
Like if we were to take a calf to the sale barn, it would probably only be worth $300. But if you feed it out through the whole winter and sell it in the fall, or feed it through the whole summer and sell it in the fall, it's worth between $800 to $1,100.
Wow.
These are all cow, or most of them, getting ready for branding day. This is our branding day. We've brought them all in from the meadow where they've been throughout the whole winter. This will probably be the last chance they get to be on the meadow because we're going to take them up to the summer pasture. These are our cows, and then we separate out the calves so that we can brand them. We pull them separately. There are lots of different methods. I think you do it the same way we do, right? Do you guys use horses in the pen to brand?
No, we use a calving cattle too.
Okay. So there is, I'm sure you've seen the real great Western pictures of like the people on horseback branding them. Like I said, no one in our family ropes, so we don't do that way. And plus, it not only requires someone to rope, but rope well and have multiple people helping you. Like even if, let's say, if there were 3 in our family that did it, you still need about 6-8 ropers, and it's a big deal. And the ranches that do it, and there are lots of ranches that do it here in Routt County, they sometimes, not sometimes, they usually, okay, it's my turn, now you're gonna come to my ranch, okay, now we're gonna go to that ranch, and they take turns. We have a bunch of college kids that help, some neighbors. It used to be me and my friends, then it got to be my brother and his friends, and then it got to be the neighbor and his friends, and so that's just kind of how it worked. We neighbors and some college kids help us, and they wrestle them.
What month is it?
March.
No.
May.
No.
Sorry. May.
Mother's Day.
That's right. We do Mother's Day. This is my dad branding. We do an electric brand, this is the brand, and so this is a mirror image of what it would look like.
It's actually on my hat.
Oh yeah, it's on her hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is Colorado law. In most, all states west of Colorado have a branding law. You have to have a brand on it to sell, to prove ownership. And when everything gets sold, you have a brand inspector come. They look at the cow, they find the brand, they make sure it is your brand. If there are any other brands on there, they want to see. They don't usually ask it because they kind of have a reputation with, or a rapport with every rancher, but they can go back and say, okay, I see that you have the Parker Ranch brand on here. When did you buy them from the Parker Ranch? If they got, really concerned that maybe it's stolen from the Parker Ranch, and just put your own brand on there.
This brand also is old, and a lot of people ask why the HT when there's no HT in anybody's name, but it was Larry's great-grandfather's brand.
Wow.
And it was registered in 1898. That's the year they had to register brands, although he came here in
1906.
No, this is
Oh,
Johnson.
Oh, Johnson.
Yeah, he homesteaded here in like 1860 something. So it's an extremely old brand, and we were able to get.
How do you read it?
H connected T. And then that is my parents' brand. And then when my brother and I got to have a herd of our own size, we wanted our own brand. So you have to have 2 major differences between any current brand. So, and it's not my brother's anymore. My brother wanted out, and then my husband wanted in. So we had laid it on its side, and then we put a slash here. So my husband and I's brand is Lazy H connected T slash.
And the reason we called it that is because it was Mark and Krista's, and that was the lazy part of the high tide.
And Adonna, what are your guys'
So same thing, and brands are often passed down from generation to generation, and so we inherited my grandfather's brand, which is a bar quarter circle backwards Z. So if you were going to do a Z, instead of making the slat one way, you do it the other way. And then my brother inherited the rocking C bar, which is a C, and then a bar, and then a quarter circle underneath it. And it could be either called C bar quarter circle or rocking, because it's actually on a pole. So, however, we have now since gone to an electric brand also. And when you have 3 irons on an electric brand, it's fine when they're on calves, but as the cows or they grow into calves, the brand is literally like this big. So just last year we decided to apply for and got a 2-iron brand, which means it's 2 characters instead of 3, so that when the cow grew, it didn't take up the billboard. And so now we have a backward Z and a 3/4 box. So it's not a full box with 4 sides, it's 3/4 like that. So
this is the method that we use. We just hold them. So one person has the neck, one person has the back. This is my daughter and some helpers spraying aloe on. We do aloe on the brand right after they're branded, just kind of instant relief. This is my mom doing all the paperwork, not for branding, I guess. I haven't the branding pictures, but this is obviously a vaccination day. So I can see all
Every
the
time we do
vaccines.
something with them, it gets in the little red book by that calves.
And so we don't do any of this until branding. Like we don't vaccinate, we don't castrate, we only bring the animals in and touch them one time. Troy will go out right when they're born and put a tag in them so we know if it's boy or girl and which cow they go with, but we wait until branding to do all of this.
This is my son trying to hold with the help of somebody, and my daughter with the spray, and my husband with the branding iron.
How long do you hold the iron on for?
Not very long.
I think like on, 2, 3, off, about.
Yeah, somewhere between 3 to 5 seconds.
Our 2 ranches I know are very inclusive for kids. We want our kids to enjoy this lifestyle and want to be a part of it, so we are always including them. And they don't, they're not going to grab the biggest calf, but we do have them grab, a smaller one and help out. This is me and my husband and my dad back here, and I don't know, I'm probably directing traffic somehow. Here's another branding picture.
So we don't throw ours to the ground like they do.
Oh yeah, I was going to tell a cocktail.
We run ours through a chute. And so they go into the big pen, and then the pens get smaller and smaller until they're in an alleyway. And we do have to separate them out. You would never put the cows and the calves in there together because the cows would run over the calves. And so we put the calves all separately, and they run through an alleyway, and then they get to the chute at the end. And we have a small chute, a squeeze chute that is made just for calves, and it's really small. But then, because no one wants to be on their knees working with the animals, it flips the animal into the squeeze chute like this. So you're actually on a table. It's called a calving table. And then everything is open to you, and the calf is not being held by anything other than the chute. So,
and it definitely doesn't require as much help, right?
No.
It's doesn't require near the labor or extra helpers.
Yeah.
My husband has the
that
patience of
direction.
like a snail. He is, well actually that's a terrible analogy. He has no patience, and so that's why we do the alleyway and the chute, because we can get all of our animals done in the morning, and he doesn't have to put up with idiots.
And so this is a picture this year after branding, not the day, because branding does take all day, of us going back to our summer pasture. Our summer pasture, one of them anyway, is at the base of Sleeping Giant. And our pasture is at the base of the head, and the Allen pasture is at the base of the feet.
Which is the Monger
I had a
homestead.
picture.
Oh, okay.
This is Troll Reservoir. If you know of any of the land around Sleeping Giant, this is Troll Reservoir. This is the initial homestead piece on that piece of property, homesteaded by my great-grandmother, a woman in agriculture, in 1905. 1905. Adeline Johnson, whose parents at the time were living at what is now Saddle Mountain Ranch, decided to get this property. These are not her original. Her original house is this one right here, which that was the house. And then there was a neighbor guy, about half a mile up the draw, John Monger, who had his homestead. Don't really know if they knew each other before, if they, did they strategize this, like, let's not get married, let's both get our land and then get married, or did they have their land and they were like, hey, we like each other, let's get married. Not really sure which way it happened, but, and then later on in like the 1920s, they built this house right here and cut and skidded the pine logs off of Elk Mountain. So it is a neat property. I wish it was taken care of better, but I am not the owner. It's family. It's older family.
So my family, we did not homestead here. We homesteaded in Nebraska. And however, during the Great Dust Bowl, there was nothing in Nebraska for our family anymore. And so my family came to Routt County and got here and saw the green, lush lands and thought they'd hit heaven. And so our family came in 1937 and have been here ever since. However, during the Dust Bowl, they could not sell the property in Nebraska. It was not worth anything. And so it has now stayed in the family. We still own our Nebraska farm as well.
There's another piece of the property looking towards the ski mountain. It was a county road too. This is a county road. At the base of it, I don't know if you know Beth Fendel or Strawberry Park Strawberry
Park Farms.
Strawberry Park
Sandy
Farms.
Horner.
But it's not in Strawberry Park though. It's right here. That or the old Kimmery place. I don't know who all you might know. That was the town of Troll. And so this was the county road that kind of connected Troll and went back up to the Milner area, roundabout way. This is some summertime. This is your family.
Right, so after we brand, we actually keep them around for about a week to make sure that there's no infection and everything's okay, and the cows and calves pair up again. You want to make sure that they find their mamas. And they do that mainly by scent. Cows have awful eyesight, and so they sniff out their calves and through their balls. Their balls all sound the same to me.
Yeah.
And so then afterwards, our land is not contiguous. We have about 250 acres on the lower Elk River where our home is. And then the rest is at the foot of rabbit ears, the foot of Sleeping Giant. And so we trail them by horseback, and the kids think they're hot stuff.
And then gear shift. Oh, go ahead.
The summer pasture, so you own the summer pasture area?
Yes, yes. Although we specifically, our ranch leases a lot. We require, for the numbers of our cattle, we require more land than we own. And so we lease almost 2/3 of the pasture that we actually have. One of them specifically is a second vacation homeowner who owns, probably, 600, 700 acres, but just wants to come during the summer. And so actually, this is that property. This is on the back side of Sleeping Giant. And so that's one of our leases that we have, both for hay and summer pasture. Our valley is unique in that the land is worth so much that if we need more land, we can't just go out and buy it. And and on the flip side, there's lots of landowners that want to own the beautiful land, but don't necessarily want to do the agriculture that could be done on it. And so it's
but
kind of
need to keep
symbiotic.
their ag
Right.
status
Yeah.
for property taxes.
Yeah.
So do you figure like acreage per head? I mean, is that how you?
Yeah, but it depends on the kind of acreage. Like if they were we wouldn't graze this.
Yeah.
But actually our neighbor grazed a hayfield this summer because he didn't want to hay it. That acreage would be much less per animal unit, they call it, than say the pasture up on Sleeping Giant that has multiple sagebrush and oak brush and stuff. So it does take more acreage per cow on summer pasture than it would on meadows. So the cows are on their summer pasture, and we do go back up and check them occasionally, but really gears change and we're into haying mode. And this is me on the tractor cutting hay. Mom is usually the cutter. This time I was doing it.
I'm in the process of turning over.
You are?
To who? Oh, really? How many years have you been doing the cutting, Mary Kay? That's a long time.
Well, I've been here for 45 years. In the first few years, I did the second year. So, yeah, long time.
You had to learn from you.
Yeah.
You just learned.
Actually, at one point, when the kids were at college, and they weren't here, a couple of the summers, I cut, raked, and baled, and Larry stacked.
All work.
Yeah. But that's all right.
And I was going out of college. I was
Yeah.
a teacher, and was a teacher up until 3 years ago. but I came home every summer to hay, every summer. But there was a couple summers that I wasn't there, but for the most part.
Most part, they were there.
This is that field, kind of like a panoramic view. We laid it all down. This summer, I'm sure you know, was like we had that hot, long, dry spell with no rain even in the forecast. So we were like, cut it all down, which is not typical. Like we probably have down here, I don't know, 100 acres at once.
At least.
And the reason why that's potentially risky is if it rains on it, it lowers the quality. Because then it has to, dry out again, and it gets wet and dry out, and it bleaches out some of the protein. But we did it all at once.
Yeah, we were actually done hay on the last week in July, which has never, ever happened. And so we're all going, what are we going to do the month of August?
Yeah.
Best. Right. Before the snow comes.
And this is a picture of alfalfa, which is a dry land crop. It does not get irrigated here in Routt County. Normally in the Midwest it does get irrigated, and they can cut it up to, 5 to 10 times a year they cut it. We are lucky to get 2. In fact, this year we're not going to get 2. We're only going to get 1 cutting, just because it gets too dry. This is the rake. The first part is to lay it down, let it dry a little bit. Then the rake flips it in together. Two sides flip it together to one row to get it ready for the baler, but also to flip it to get the other side dried.
So haying season is really, really busy, obviously because of the haying, but at the same time you have to keep an eye on your cows and make sure that they're not getting out of fences and that the cow and calf are still healthy and happy and together. And our family does do almost everything just because my husband loves to horseback ride, so we do everything on horses, and our kids are on their horses all summer. And so you get out of the hayfield, or at least with us. So Troy gets up in the morning, irrigates, before he gets onto his tractor, and then he'll hay, like Krista, all day. And then after haying, he usually is on his horse checking cows to make sure everything's going. So you're talking like 6 in the morning until 8 or 9 at night. And I am. You guys probably heard this, but behind every successful rancher is a wife who works in town, and that is me. So my husband and my dad are on the ranch full time, and I'm the president of a local bank, and so I am in charge of meals and all of the record keeping. So.
And your job.
Yeah. Oh yes, I'm right. No, the kids are with Troy almost all the time, and they were since they were little, and I'm sure it's the same way with Krista. They go with her.
Yep, no daycare because they can just, in fact, there's a picture coming up.
Both of her kids rode with me on the Swather because I had a place at their car seats.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Would fit in
Oh.
until they were like 4.
Yeah.
And
And
then
now they don't ride with us so much because they're older and they can.
I think they got sick of it. Now they want to drive.
Yeah.
So this is one of our 2 balers. We have one that spits out a big square. And the reason why we bought that is because we sell a lot of our hay. We don't need to use all of it. And so we sell a bunch of it, and those fit on a semi-tractor, much better than the round rolls do.
So how much is a machine like that about to buy?
The apparatus in the back is probably like a $130,000 baler. Although we bought it used.
And
And
the
the
the tractors are right at 100,000.
Okay.
It's a huge investment.
There's the car seat. Like this is 2006, but
Yeah.
they have to go. I have to be on the tractor, and I don't really want to pay a babysitter to come out to be on the ranch when I'm already there, just right across the road.
So there was somebody most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is the other baler, the round baler. The round rolls fit into that feeder that we talked about. And so everything that we're going to keep to feed our cattle get fed these round rolls. And then the small bales really, if you're going to be doing the horse-drawn feeding, I guess you would do it. But other than that, I don't think there's any local beef operations that use small bales anymore.
We do put up small bales, but it's to service to the horse folks.
Yeah.
So they will pay, like right now we just sold a trailer full $10 a bale for those little tiny things. I mean, it's ridiculous. but they'll pay.
And there's just some kind of things that happen in the summer. Support of mine. She has all over her foot too. So we had to, and they are not tame enough that you can just, get it in the field. So we had to bring her into the chute and pull those out.
Every summer up on Sleeping Giant, we almost always lose an animal to lightning, and then we almost always lose one to rattlesnakes. Because they're just curious. I mean, they're eating down with their nose on the ground, and before they know it, they've gotten on a rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake will just get them. And if you don't get to them within the first hour, then the venom will go to them.
Any mountain lions?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Lots of bear.
We have bears.
There's a bear, but they don't leave the cows alone.
Yeah.
Well, Sleeping Giant to you guys. Elk Mountain to us.
This is Troy. I'm doing some of his checking cattle. Although this is probably not summer. This is maybe closer to fall.
Yeah.
This is another summer job, is to make sure everything has their minerals. This is Adonna's Kettle.
And we do have registered animals, and I get to do all that paperwork too. It's awful. So, but we are going to a system of software instead of the book, because my husband's awful with it. Is that it's called Cattle Max, and we're moving to a smartphone apparatus where you can enter it right there in the field and put in the cow. It's pretty darn slick. So we're gonna stay married. We're gonna stay married. It's getting kind of serious. I love that picture.
This is me. This is my son and my husband. Taken about 4 years ago now. Rounding up cattle from a pasture in the fall.
In the rain.
In the rain, yeah. And I was on the other hillside, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful picture. It turned out great. So near the fall, we do several things. We give booster shots for the vaccination, just like kids get. But we also run the cows through to do other things like potentially preg check or to see if they're pregnant. We do this with our calves also. This is verified source ID. So this means that it keeps track of our cattle. This is a marketing tool. It really doesn't mean that our beef is more safe or better quality. It just means that feedlots will pay a little bit more if they can verify that it came from a certain place.
They can read those.
They can read it, and what it's like a computer chip in here, and they scan it with a wand, and it could potentially down the road, if it's in a feedlot in Amarillo, they could say, oh, it was in Amarillo, but before that it was in a feed yard in Greeley, and then before that it was on a ranch in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
And it's getting to the place that a lot of the cattle that are exported out of the United States, Japan is the big one, will not buy them unless they're source verified.
Right. So these are the backs. So instead of using the back that was on here, you would pop that on.
Yeah. Yes.
So
and it goes in their ear. We put those in the fall, right before they're ready to ship.
And so these are heading into fall, bringing cows home. It looks like they don't have calves with them, so we probably already weaned off the calves. Starting to do chute work, pushing them through the chute. The vet comes and does, on our heifer calves, she does a bangs vaccination. It is required by law, a vaccination for all breeding heifers. It's pretty much nationwide. I don't know that for certain, but I know definitely Colorado. Bring them through the chute. These are our heifer calves that we will keep, and we send our heifer calves off to a feed yard in Olathe, which is over by Grand Junction, just to fatten them up. They get a better diet of food. It's our winters are hard here, and not only to stay at the temperature that they want to, we want them to not just maintain, but we want them to grow. And so we take ours over. And not everyone does that. We didn't used to do it. We've only done it in the last 3 or 4 years. Just moving cattle in the winter. It's my son and my dad. These are the little calves. This is about the size of them when they start to get weaned. This is our summer pasture that now it's fall and bringing them off.
Is that fenced?
Yes. it does back up. If you're knowledgeable about the area, there's the fence. Is it this line? I can't remember if it's this line or a little bit above it.
It's a little bit above
Is
it.
the BLM line, and then actually there's another fence that comes here, like right here, and that's state. So state land is there, BLM land is here, and then the Monger property, and then shared property, and then the Allens and Duckens.
And this is a fence out state, so if you don't want animals in your yard, it's your responsibility to have fences around it.
right. Including dogs.
We are.
Right.
Whatever.
It will be shortly, stick around.
And you wouldn't know it, but they actually go all the way. They don't go all the way to the top, but man, they'll get all the way right up in here. And we actually have a spring. The spring is right in here, but they go all the way up there. And so we do not use horses that often, not near as much. They use them almost weekly. But this is one time a year where we have to. The four-wheeler just isn't going to cut it.
We also get the leftover mash from Mahogany Ridge when they make their beer. And so we feed that. And they love that stuff. So they are pretty easy to move around now. Because you drive in with a pickup, they can come rolling out of the hills because they think that you're bringing them some more of that stuff. It was a great training tool.
Do you have to pay for it?
No, they
do it
just
for
give
free.
it to us.
And I think other breweries, I know the pigs, is that the Ampa Valley Farms? The pigs they get theirs, I'm pretty sure. They get the brewery up on
Butcher Knife?
129.
Yeah, butcher.
Yeah, I think Coors does it too, only they put theirs in pellets. You have to buy it.
Yes, the big breweries also have it, but they have realized this is a cash product. And so
Sure they
they'll pay for it, yeah. While we were done, when we get done haying, this is our meadow hay, which is irrigated. Then we start irrigating, putting water back on it to get more grass. We will not be able to cut it again for hay. It won't get tall enough, but it will provide more pasture in the fall, especially since all the pasture on the hillside has gotten yellowed. It's dried out. It's kind of doesn't have as much protein on it anymore. And so this is our cows back on the meadow pasture.
And you have water rates then?
What?
You have water rates?
Yes.
Rates?
Water
Rights, yes,
rights.
yes. Our 2 ranches and 2 more ranches are on the Morin Ditch, which comes off the Elk River. It has senior water rights. If you know anything about water rights, senior trumps junior, trumps if you don't have any at all. And if someone puts a call on the water, they go back and they look at who had it first. And basically ours is maybe not very top, but pretty high up there. And then I just put this in there because it's, this is a homegrown steer. This is my daughter from our herd, and fair coming up, and fair is next week. If you guys want to attend, this beef show is Friday and the sale is Saturday. And then we have Levi, that's my steer. And then here we're wrapping up this season. This is the loadout day, and this is big smiles because they're shipping them off, getting their paycheck. It's my mom and dad. This is Olivia last year picking out that one. So this would have been last August.
Right.
This would have been the previous ship out date. She is trying to figure out which one she wants from our herd to be her 4-H steer. And then her dad is like, they're trying to talk about, you want this size, not this size. And I'm like, that one looks mean, cut it out. We're not doing that one.
with him.
And then the truck in the background, waiting to ship them off to a feed yard. We cannot feed them out here in mass quantity. We'd have to truck in grain, and then grass-fed requires a lot of time and energy because, like I said, cows are just trying to maintain their body weight. It's really, really hard to get the extra energy in there to get them fattened up. And then just waiting for snow to hit. And
That's what we do, wait.
that's right. Yeah. And then
Say,
last
make it longer.
Last few are Cattlewoman Pictures. Our organization is really about education and promotion. We are not a lobbying group whatsoever. And this is us at the chili cook-off. We like to participate in that every year. Unfortunately, not this year because they moved the date and didn't tell us, so we're already busy. But we've won quite a few years.
Oh, okay.
Either first or second.
Yeah, for
every year
People's
since the
Choice.
beginning.
Yeah, really?
Against
So-
the restaurants, yeah.
Yeah, against restaurants.
That always feels good.
We do craft shows too. We give anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a year to scholarships for kids from ag backgrounds or who are city kids wanting to go into the beef industry. We do off and on tasting. I'm not sure. Oh, this is chili cook-off still.
And that's Adonna's mom.
Yeah, that's Marcia. That's Adonna's mom. Marcia, come up. We also host ranch days every spring. The third graders come out to our ranches. We have 4 different host ranches. Your guys' is one, ours is another, the Beltons is one, and Erica Murphy and Stanko's. I guess we have 5.
It's a blast, and I know we gotta go, so I have this really quick story. You go around and we talk about the corrals and the chutes and then the different animals like heifers, deer. And so as we're walking around, I'm asking them, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? And we get to one animal, and I said, how do you know what this this one is? And the little boy goes, I know it's a bull because it has the biggest balls I've ever seen. And I was like, I can't wait for this kid to go home and tell his parents what But every year they call and they have us back. So.
And this is one of the 3rd grade teachers with their head stuck in the head catch.
That's one of their favorite things, to go through there and get trapped in the chute.
And then just different taste testings. And then we do a quilt like every 3 years to raffle off for our scholarship. And I think that's it.
Right.